First impression would be wow. 3 B's came to mind: beauty, brains, and balance. She was very pleasant to look at, beautiful lady. She had been a model and a professional water skier before becoming a student. One of the most bright, intellectual individuals I have ever known. And she was able to balance her professional career and her teaching with family and a love of outdoors. Just a really remarkable woman.
I took Carol Lee's class in the spring of 1988. Right before I sat for the CPA exam, I took advanced tax from her. And I have to say it was probably the most challenging class I took in the Department of Accounting. She was a taskmaster. She expected the very best out of everyone and would accept nothing less.
Okay, well, Carol Lee, I guess the first class I had her for was the first intermediate accounting. Walked in there and she was already in there, long blonde hair and a short mini skirt. So I said, you know, never sat in the front of an accounting class in my life, but I think I'll try it this time. So I did. What a mistake.
She was always in fast motion. She moved quickly, she spoke quickly, she didn't waste any time. She was a woman with a mission every day of her life.
Carol Lee Sangster had an energy level that was enviable by any standard. She wrote with the right hand, and interesting enough, she'd be erasing the board as she wrote.
I'm trying to figure out what she's got on the board, and she's erasing it before I can figure out what it is. I mean, she's just sitting there going like this and just going right behind it, you know, like, well, wait a minute, you know, leave that on there for 30 seconds, please.
She always had something she was going to do, and she didn't like to waste time. She always was planning what she was doing next.
A class was very, very exciting from her, and you learned a great deal.
When I took her advanced tax class, it was a small class, and like I said, we were getting ready to sit for the CPA exam, and so she was really pushing us hard.
We'd taken our final in one of the classes, me and another guy, and I hadn't studied as much as I should have.
And we felt like we were really ready, and when we went in to take our first test, we came out of the exam and all the students were like, God, did that seem really hard to you? Or?
We went to look at our scores on the wall, on the Social Security number, and Carol Lee, unfortunately, was in our office at the time.
That was really a challenging exam, and I was almost sick to my stomach.
She comes out, she says, I'd like to talk to you, Mr. Gordy, and you too, Mr. Merrick.
So we got together our courage, and so on the next class period, when we went back, someone, and it wasn't me, but someone said, you know, Ms. Sangster, it seems like this test was extraordinarily hard.
Mr. Gordy, was I wrong about you? Did you really study for this test? Is that how you did this? And I said, what are you talking about? She said, because my perception is that you were awful lucky. I know you didn't cheat, I watched you.
She said, look around the room. I have some of the brightest students. She said, all but 2 of you have 4.0s in accounting. She said, you need to be challenged.
At the end, I said, you know, I guess you were such a good teacher during the year, I guess it just soaked in. And she said, you mean when you weren't trying to look up my dress?
I would say she worked harder for us than we worked for ourselves. I mean, all of us wanted to pass the CPA exam and do well, but she went way beyond what was expected by challenging us and expecting us to do what we had to do.
And the truth was, I actually did learn it in class because she was a good teacher. But you know, I didn't realize that until she asked that question.
It was because of Carol Lee that I passed the CPA exam. She had high expectations for herself and also for her students, and I am sure that she's the reason I passed.
Really a good teacher. I mean, she really, you know, I will say that I majored in accounting, probably didn't know what I was getting into. I was good at math and didn't really care for it a whole lot, but she made it pretty inspiring. You thought it was a great profession going in one of her classes.
After 32 years of teaching accounting in the College of Business, Carol Lee Sangster retired March the 1st, 1999. She was a highly regarded educator and was well known and respected in the state of Texas as well as throughout the nation. Without a doubt, God broke the mold when He created Carol Lee Sangster, and we treasure her memory. She passed away March 25, 2003, after a lengthy illness at the age of 65. I truly miss her robust energy, her tremendous competence, her unyielding, contagious dedication, and her great friendship.